energy. It is all around us, both seen and unseen. It affects all the lives within humanity, our great planet Earth, and the entire universe. It is a conscious cosmic matrix, an ever-evolving cycle, creating, breaking down, and recreating. This is Connected with your host, Andrea Dragonfly. Andrea tells us that energy is the foundation of our human experience, intrinsically affecting every facet of our lives, our perceptions, choices, and actions, as well as the challenges, opportunities, and people we attract. So now, please welcome the host of Connected, Andrea Dragonfly.
Hello, good people of the world. Welcome to another episode on Connected. I'm your host, Andrea Dragonfly. So we had a very big total solar eclipse event that happened on Monday. And I spoke about it in last week's show. And I want to carry forward that conversation because there's a lot to really dive into around this. And especially because everything is connected, to dive even deeper into what I was sharing with you last week. I also want to remind you that this is a live show and that any show that you've watched in the past that maybe you didn't watch it live, but maybe you come to it and there's questions, halfway through, I open up the phone lines so that I can clarify, answer any questions that might come up for you. And so that will be happening midway through. And again, if there's anything that is particular to this show and how it might show up for you, questions, clarity around anything, please bring it to the phone line. And that phone number is at the bottom of the screen. And I'll let you know when that time comes. But always just know that that is an extra way for you to get any questions, concerns, clarity around certain things that may not be making sense. So, getting on with this total solar eclipse that had just happened on Monday, it was a pretty significant event, and much of the world covered it in different ways. It became at least a national big deal in many ways for the United States in particular. And different types of communities were offering free classes and events and information on how this, was coming to us at this time with a lot of other information. And I spoke with many people who shared their experiences, and it seemed like, this is a pretty big, powerful awareness that's beginning to kind of open up. It's not that we always get this kind of information and that our communities aren't always supportive in these ways. And so I think this is really beautiful. It really shows how we are growing and becoming more aware of how these events are happening. Now, on April 20th, another big event is happening in astrology, in the cosmos, in the planetary alignment. And I'll be talking more about that next week. But also, April is a really big time of shift. And that's why I want to really focus today's conversation with you to deepen into what I started last week, and then also to carry it forward into next week. Because this is a beautiful time, especially with spring that just sprung for the equinox on March 21st. And we're coming into this beautiful time of new beginnings. And not only new beginnings for this year of 2024, but this new beginning that can really launch us into what I've been kind of talking about, this new age of humanity. So it's a perfect time for us to dive deeper into ourselves, connect further the dots that are showing up for us, and how we can use this time to really almost catapult ourselves into a new place within our experience to the world. Now, with the first several shows, I always think about this as foundation. And I'm creating a foundation because we're going to be launching, and I believe today is part of that launching. we're going to be leaving the dock. So it's kind of like we've been storing a bunch of information. We've been packing all the material up on the boat, and we're going to set sail. And I'm going to be bringing some information forward that isn't common knowledge. And I think it's definitely part of the awakening, the bringing our consciousness to a new level. And of course, it starts to spread a little bit by little bit by little bit. And then eventually, before you know it, becomes part of the norm. And there is a great number of people that are already connected to this. So by all means, I am bringing this to all of those people who this might be very new. And this may also slightly be uncomfortable because it's a conversation that is different. And again, it's a conversation, it's an invitation. I invite you to take what is being said throughout this time together and sit with it. Allow it to work you a little bit and see, hey, how do I feel about this? And sometimes these things we might have to sit with for days, weeks, even months for it to really land in us. And that always is just part of the natural process. So today's show, we're looking at the solar total eclipse effects on energy imprints. And so what do I mean by energy imprints? Because we carry this energy within us. Now, in the earlier shows, I started to really kind of bring us into our own energy field. What we know, what we don't know, what we don't know that we don't know, how we experience the world creates the lens, right? Creates how we perceive, what we believe, and can really, be the path in which we are living our day-to-day lives, right? So it's kind of like exposure. What are we exposed to? So this might be a show that opens that, expands the awareness, and might be some new exposure. So I'm excited to bring it to you. So I'm going to just share that this is going to be from a shamanic perspective. And there's other perspectives, and I'm going to bring those in as well. But what I love about this perspective is that it's simplified. And I use it within my own energy work practice. It really is the foundation of the work that I do. However, we're going to just take it a little bit at a time and really look at this because it's not just within a shamanic perspective. It's in many perspectives. It's in many wisdom traditions over time. And it's only within the Abrahamic traditions, which is Christianity, Judaism, and Islam, that this becomes possibly challenging. And it's because we're going to be looking at the possibility of not just having one life, but having more than one life. And in having more than one life, we're talking about reincarnation. And again, the Abrahamic traditions are the dominant belief systems of the world at this time. However, even with that, we have about 8 billion people on the planet. And even with 8 billion people on the planet and them being the dominant religious ideologies, there are still so many others that believe in reincarnation. Now, I'm not here to try to convince you of anything. What I'm here to do is just bring you information that can stretch you and bring you into a different perspective. Try it on. It can actually, by bringing in new perspectives and looking at, hey, there's more than one here, it gives us choices. It gives us lots of opportunity to just try things on and see, how does this feel? Because for a long time, this has been the common understanding. And it's only through the Abrahamic traditions that the one life, one shot at it really came into effect. And in that is its own show. So I'm not going to focus on that, but I do want to just acknowledge that, because there may be viewers that are coming on here. This show is for those, it's for everybody, for sure. But it's also for those who are curious, who are coming into the awakening that there's something more to life, to this world, than what our culture and our world has told us, right? What the establishment has given us. And so it's this opportunity for us to do a little stretching in that. So I'm going to share a little bit about the shamanic tradition. Now, again, for 30 years, I have had the opportunity to work with several different wisdom teachers over that time. Oftentimes it's called shamanic, and I just want to clarify and do some definitions and kind of get people landed in what I'm talking about. Because shaman is actually a newish word. It's an anthropological word that was created in the 20th century to actually talk about the medicine men and women throughout all sorts of different cultures who work and operate in a different way than what we're used to in the Western world. These people have powerful relationships with energy. And this is something that I talked about in the very first show, about how energy is about relationships. And when we understand the energy that lives within ourselves, which was some of the last shows we just talked about, we can then look at how do we build that relationship within ourselves to connect with all of these other relationships that are available to us around us, beneath us, above us, below us, all around us, right? So this is where the medicine men and women, also, I refer to them as wisdom keepers. This is where they come in, and that they have always been seen as a people who are there to either help within a spiritual capacity. They've been the healers. They've been the spiritual leaders. They've also been known as the counselors. They've also been known as, like, in some combined sense of it all, the ones that have the connection and have the knowing. So the word shaman actually is a word that comes from the northern steppes of Asia and Central Asia, but also is the word as one who knows. So we're going to take a quick break, and 2 minutes, and when we get back, we're going to dive in and see how they connect into what we're talking about and how this total eclipse affects us, our energy, and our imprints. I'll see you in 2.
What if there were a super tiny device that could diagnose the brain and is smaller than a single human hair? What if you could see inside the brain to help an epilepsy patient during surgery, or to help the fight against Parkinson's disease? Dr. Patricia Broderick is proud to announce the Broderick Probe, a biomedical and electronic breakthrough. Imagine a probe to help with the understanding and potential cure of brain-related diseases. To learn more, listen live to the Easy Sense radio show with host Dr. Broderick, Wednesdays 7 p.m. Eastern on the Bold Brave Media Network and TuneIn Radio. And to help support the Broderick Foundation, please go to EasySense.com and learn how, with your help, we can fight these horrific brain disorders. That's EasySense.com to learn more and help support the Broderick Foundation. Author, radio show host, and coach John M. Hawkins reveals strategies to help gain perspective, build confidence, find clarity, achieve goals. John M. Hawkins' new book, Coached to Greatness: Unlock Your Full Potential with Limitless Growth, published by iUniverse. Hawkins reveals strategies to help readers accomplish more. He believes the book can coach them to greatness. Hawkins says that the best athletes get to the top of their sport with the help of coaches, mentors, and others. He shares guidance that helps readers reflect on what motivates them. Read discover and assess their core values, philosophies, and competencies, find settings that allow them to be the most productive, and track their progress towards accomplishing goals. Listen to John Hawkins' My Strategy, Saturdays, 1 p.m. Eastern on the BBN Global Network and TuneIn Radio.
Welcome back. So I was talking about the shamans, the ones who know. And throughout time immemorable, the shamans have had these relationships with divine forces, with energies that have helped them understand that we are far more than just these bodies with these thoughts and our actions of doing. That there's something far more happening within this whole process. And the way that they see it, which, of course, when I speak of shamans, I also want to say that wisdom people from all continents, they all have this in common. This is a common understanding during a time when they had no way of communicating with one another. That's one of the pieces that's so fascinating about shamanic work, is that many of their beliefs are all in total alignment, yet they do their ceremonies differently. They may name their energies, their deities that they may be working with. They may all have different names. Of course, it's all cultural, right? It's all based on their location, their geography, and culture and custom. However, there's a central thread that lives within all of it. And this is one of the things that has been most fascinating for American anthropologists, or maybe not just American, but anthropologists in general, is that they all follow very much this ideology that is consistent over culture, continent, and time. So again, getting back to that, is that we are far more than just these bodies, these minds, these will forces of creation. That we do absolutely have our physical body. And so within this tradition, I'm going to speak specifically for working with the Peruvian shamans of South America, of course, the Laika, also known as the Quechua and the Quiero. And I've had the opportunity to work with them since 2017. And I, as a student of Alberto Villoldo's and a student of them throughout my work there, have learned their cosmology. I have been initiated to carry their medicine, to work with them, and share their information, their knowledge, their cosmology, the way that they connect into all of life and the cosmos. Their understanding, their stories of the human experience with divinity. And I've been initiated to carry their medicine forward, to work within their medicine. And their story is beautiful. And that is definitely going to be another show, because that is such wonderful information there, but not too much information for right now. And so within this, we're looking at what's called a medicine wheel. And with medicine wheels, this is also something that we're going to dive into when I go deeper into that, working with the Quiero, is that we can look at how we are divided within what's called quarters. And it's not just that we're divided into quarters, but that there's this energetic to life. And so even when we think about the four directions, north, south, east, west, this is also very similar to a medicine wheel. And they look upon that as well. The directions are very important. And again, this is going to be a much deeper conversation. But here we're looking at, within this division of north, south, east, and west, we also look that within our energy fields, there are these energetic bodies where within the Leica in particular, within the South is connected to the physical body. And the physical body, of course, is what we inhabit, right? And within our physical body, this is where we are living out this earthly experience. This is our human experience in these physical bodies. And within these physical bodies, we also carry energetics. So if we were to have a car accident, if we were to have some sort of interaction with a trauma, a wound that can occur. So we have these opportunities within these physical bodies where there might be some sort of altercation, of violence that could have happened, some sort of energetic. And so within the trauma wounds of our physical bodies, we can carry energy. And so when I speak of trauma wounds, I'm speaking also of anything that can happen to us on a physical level. So that could be physical, we could get wounded even with machinery, car accidents, boating accidents, all sorts of different things that can really kind of leave an imprint within these physical bodies. But we can also have other things that happen to us that could also be, I'm going to dive right in, other types of energetics that we hold within our physical bodies are just memories of something that has happened, maybe not with our consent, but that our body has physically kind of taken an energetic hit to it. And so when we talk about the total solar eclipse with, and how it can have imprints on, and how it can activate our imprints, I'm just sharing how within these energy bodies, energy can get collected. I'm going to go a little deeper into that, but I do want to share all the energy bodies so we understand what I'm talking about. So in the South, I'm talking about the physical. And the physical is our DNA as well. It's our genetic coding that we may also have something that's come in through birth. It's also lineage energy that we can carry with us within. So it's not just our DNA, but there's an energetic coding that comes in that can also be emotional. It can be mental, it can be behavioral. And so we can actually carry those in our energy fields within our physical body. Within our physical body, we have another layer, and it's called the etheric body, where these imprints actually get attached. And this is what the wisdom keepers have always known. They've known that we carry these energies. Now, the next energy body is known as the mind-heart connection. So this is where we have the emotional body as well as the mental body. And so within this, and within the medicine wheel, this lives in the west, lives in the water element. So the south is the fire element, west is the water element. And here, this is where we have the experience of life, where when we are out in the world, we are fully stimulated what's happening in the world. What is happening then becomes like, how do I perceive that? How do I interpret what I'm seeing, right? And then it can invoke an emotion. So how do I feel about that? Oh, that's something that I really love. That's something that brings me joy. That's something that I'm connected to on a vibration of that works for me. I like that. That's something that is connected into an energetic that we carry that is what would be considered synthesis. I connect with that and it agrees with me. It's an agreeable energy. And therefore, my emotions will have an agreeable emotion. Now, if we find something that we do not agree with, something that actually invokes a certain amount of energy within us that is like, no, like we don't have tolerance for that, which is often what we see in the media these days that can really spark something. That is something that we call the antithesis. It's an energy that very much kind of creates and invokes a feeling within us that says, no, I don't like that. It can anger us. It can make us drop into that. Remember those 7 levels of energy that I was talking about a couple of shows ago? That was one of the reasons why I'm bringing that in, is because it can drop us into that energy that is all about that lower vibration, that energy that is about being at the effect of something or being angered by something. And so this is where we pull that energy in, and this is the mind heart connection, and it's an energy body that lives within us, and it really is what activates us in our experience to life. And then we have another energy body. So if we think about the physical body, this is our outer shell. And inside the physical is the emotional, mental energy body that lives inside of that. So that's our thoughts and it's our feelings, and they're always working. And oftentimes we're working to try to keep them in a positive light. If we can, and sometimes our mind and our hearts don't feel the same way. We know that this might be the right choice, but we really can't align with it, right? So there's a part of us that is really struggling with how we feel, even though we may know something, but energetically it doesn't feel right. Or vice versa. We feel something, but we can't logically understand why that might be the way that it is. So this is a process. It's a process of being aware of. Sometimes we're not aware that this is happening within us, but it's very much an energy body that is operating behind the scenes, and it can live in that place of what we don't know, or what we don't know that we don't know. Again, always bring that forward because there's a lot of power in that. Now, the next energy body is even further inside of that. And this is the energy body of the soul. And the soul is a very complicated, it's a complicated conversation because different paths of knowledge, so like especially psychology, like the soul has had many different definitions, and it's not one that many people can agree upon. And so what I'm going to share with you, and what I love about this, is that it's very simple. And when I talk about the soul, I'm going to be talking about it from this point of view, because the soul is our navigation device. The soul is that part of us that drives us to what we desire for ourselves, what we aspire for ourselves. And believe it or not, this might be a little stretchy for you. The soul brings us to the people, to the places, to the events, to the situations that we came into this world as human beings to work through, to create relationships with, to find what it is that our soul's mission is and overcome it. And so I'm going to bring us to the next energy body because they're all so deeply interconnected. And I'm going to speak a little bit more about them, bring it into the next area as well, a conversation, because there's so much here. And then with the soul, and the center core of us is our spirit body. And that spirit body is that part of us that actually reincarnates and is the soul, which it's, I want to say the soul essence, it's the spirit essence, so excuse my language, that actually grows evolutionary, like every lifetime. We are then growing the spirit part of us, and that spirit part of us returns every lifetime. However, the soul brings us to what is that mission? What are we here to do? What are we here to overcome? And then that energy body of the mind and the heart direct us even further, saying, oh, this is the area that I came to overcome. And then we can even feel it in the physical, and the physical body can then show us, I've had trauma here. And that trauma is here for me to overcome. Now I'm going to get a little bit more clarifying in the next, when I get back, but we're going to break for commercial. This is also an opportunity that if you want to call in, there is a phone number below. And of course I am still explaining a little bit more of this, but bring your questions. I'm going to clarify, but see if there's any questions you have about how this pertains to you at this moment. Please bring it. You're welcome to, voice your thoughts here. So we'll see you in 2 minutes.
Did you know that your beliefs create your entire reality, but it's the subconscious beliefs that do most of the creating? Belief shifter and life coach Shiraz can help you identify those limiting beliefs and eliminate them, often in a single session.
Like it was almost instant, like I had relief right away.
Creating better health, relationships, careers, and finances. Let Shiraz help you step out of safety and into awareness.
Definitely something's happening. It's like a flow inside. It feels good.
Whether in person or online, Shiraz provides personal coaching, belief shifting. Visit Shiraz at energeticmagic.com or call 416-529-7429. Energetic Magic on the BBM Global Network, Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern. Find your greater happiness. Be well. Be aware. Be magical.
Are you struggling to care for elderly parents or a spouse? Do you wonder if being a caregiver is making you sick? Are you worried about taking time off work to care for elderly parents and balance work, life, and caregiving? Has caregiving become exhausting and emotionally draining? Are you an aging adult who wants to remain independent, but you're not sure how? I'm Pamela D. Wilson. Join me for the Caring Generation radio show for caregivers and aging adults, Wednesday evenings, 6 Pacific, 7 Mountain, 8 Central, and 9 Eastern, where I answer these questions and share tips for managing stress, family relationships, health, well-being, and more. Podcasts and transcripts of The Caring Generation are on my website, PamelaDWilson.com, plus my caregiving library, online caregiver support programs, and programs for corporations interested in supporting working caregivers. Help, hope, and support for caregivers is here on The Caring Generation and PamelaDWilson.com.
Welcome back. So, we're talking about energy bodies and how these energy bodies have been known for time immemorable outside of the dominant Western belief system. And so I was giving you from the outside in. It's almost like from the bottom up, top down, bottom up, right? And now I'm going to go from top down because I went from the physical, corporeal, outer shell body into the emotional, mental body, into the soul body, into the core, which is our spirit body. Now, from top down, the spirit body is, again, that part that comes back. It's that part that continues to evolve through each life incarnation. And that every time we come into a life, that we actually have a mission. We have a mission to overcome. We have a mission to make different choices. We have a mission to actually find our empowerment, to use the opportunities that are before us to make different choices that are in the higher love, compassion, forgiveness energies. Now, these are the divine energies. These are the Christing energies. These are the energies that permeate the highest senses of our cosmic universe. Wherever your belief is, wherever your path, is taking you. And I know that there are plenty of people in the world who believe in, no, this is it. And I don't even want another life. I know plenty of those people as well, And but this is something to try on. It's something to stretch. It's just another perspective, and it's a powerful perspective because energetically, it's lived in the cosmic memory of humanity for a long, long time immemorable, since the beginning of it all. And so, again, trying it on. With that spirit body, we then have our soul body, which is a casing over it. I'm going backwards. I'm going from top down where I went from bottom up. And that soul body, again, is that part of us that drives us forward. It brings us to these opportunities. It helps us say, hey, this is a pattern. And this pattern, I find I've been living for so long, and all of us are at different places in our lives. But for some people, they might have that pattern for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 50 years. And that I really find like every time this type of situation comes up, I don't know how to overcome it. So this pattern stays with us. So when I talked about original wound last week and about how the total solar eclipse was conjoining with Chiron, with the North Node in the sign of Aries, there's so much happening astrologically last week, on Monday actually, not even a full week ago, that it's an amazing time for us to really put that energy into motion to create a new beginning for us. So that soul body has driven us to recognize, well, what is it that's living within me? And then we go into the mind-heart connection. Where do I feel disempowered? Where do I get angry, upset, intolerant? What is happening within my energy field that I'm being constantly brought to? And this is one of my main complaints in life, right? So we're looking through these soul bodies. The spirit body came in to actually overcome it. The soul body brings you to it. The mind and the heart activate you in a way that says something's not right here because I'm not feeling good. Because ultimately the energetic is for us to rise into that place of feeling good until we have another energetic that rises us into the place of feeling good, till we can clear all of our imprints and feel good no matter what is happening in the world. No matter what is happening in the world. And so I will be talking a little bit more about that 7 levels of energy because it's so powerful and it's so connected to so many areas of our life that these shows only provide so much information. But bringing this back to how the total solar eclipse has this very powerful energy. And it's going to activate these wounds. And then I want to bring it back to the physical body. So the mind and the heart are saying there's something not right here. And then the physical body is also, what physically has happened to me. And it doesn't always have to be physical. It can be emotional, but sometimes there's some powerful physical things that have happened. If a person has ever experienced any type of violence, physical violence, sexual violence, right? These are wounds that we have carried within our body. Also, we carry these imprints, like I was saying. Now, within multiple lives, we also have something that is called karma. And that also is a beautiful show. But within the karma, that when I say it's a beautiful show, that means it's going to be a beautiful show coming up very soon, because I'm opening up, cracking open this whole new way of looking at things that has been around for a long time. And it's an invitation to say, hey, you know what? Even though our dominant culture has not looked at this, and it's not part of what they say is true, we're going to also look at why. Why do they say that? Why are we not looking at these things? So that is going to be in its own show coming up very soon. But this is the karma, is that we bring these things forward. If there's something that we've done in the past that we haven't fully healed, that we haven't fully completed, because it doesn't even have to be a healing, it just means there's something we're carrying forward. It's going to activate us in our energy fields. And within these energy fields, within the shamanic perspective, we're looking at 4. The soul lives in the north. The soul lives within that place of the north, and then the spirit lives within the east. So I'm bringing it back to the medicine wheel. Now, of course, there's always differences between the northern hemisphere and the southern hemisphere. East and west are very much the same. But the south, when it comes to fire, the fire is always connected to the equator. And then the poles are connected to what would be considered earth energy. The north for North America, of course, and then the South Pole would be the earth energy for the southern hemisphere. And so I know that there's a mix. There's so much energy. There's so much information that works with these energies here, that sometimes it's very like it's an introduction. So when I'm talking about the medicine wheel, talking about south and fire, and west and water, north and earth, and east and air, we're looking at them also connecting to these energy bodies that we hold. So within that physical energy, again, this is also the time of the eclipse energy, was the new moon in Aries, that I am. And that I am is also like this physical energy body being of our drive. What do we want to do different? This is an absolute beautiful time for our healing. But it's also a beautiful time to make new choices, choose differently. I'd spoken about how last week that even with us putting our intention forward of healing that original wound that lives within us, because we all come into the world with something. To be human means that we're going to have challenges that we are going to be given many opportunities to overcome. And so how are we going to actually show up to those challenges? How are we going to figure out, okay, I need to do something different here? And if we have these obstacles and we've been doing the same thing, and even looking at our partnerships, relationships, because these are the things that are most important to us as humans. We are relational beings. And if we've been severely wounded, we may not have very many relationships. Or if we just came in with an energetic or a karma that says, no, I don't like people and I don't really want to put myself out there, then we're going to have limited relationships. But for the most part, people want to be connected. They want to be related to. They want to be seen. They want to be known for who they are. They want to be valued. And of course, this is part of what our culture, the establishment, says, that if you're, to be important, to be seen, you have to have these qualities. And we're all trying to show each other our qualities, but sometimes we are not being accredited for that. We're not being validated. And so the more we want to show ourselves in action, honestly, the more we are less seen in the way that we want to be seen. There's a dynamic there. And the dynamic is sometimes it's about, what do I need to do differently? If I keep trying to push myself forward for what I want, to be seen by my significant partner, my spouse, my lover, whomever that is for you, or if I want to be seen by my children, if my children are adults, or if I want to be seen by my siblings, my mother and my father, if I'm also coming into that place of my life that says, hey, I'm doing something different. I'm not that child anymore. I'm coming into a whole different level of life. I want you to see me for who I am, not for who you knew me to be back in the old day, right? Of living all together in a house. Or even within our community and our community members. So again, I'm bringing in a lot of possibilities because there's lots of different relationships, number one, but also interactions and how those wounds get expressed. And our soul brings us to the people that says, you have a pattern of not either like having boundaries, standing up for yourself and claiming your autonomy, your right to be respected, right? And so we're going to give you opportunity after opportunity to find a new way. Find a new way that's going to help you heal this. And I'm just bringing out some suggestions. Like, there are so many things To be human, we have so many experiences where we might feel disempowered. And because each one of us is so unique, talked about how we're this unique masterpiece, that it's going to show up for us differently. And that difference is part of that uniqueness. What do I need to do differently? And then also, oftentimes, how we need to do it differently puts us in a place of uncomfortability. You mean I have to do something that maybe is going to affect my ego? And the ego also is part of this process. The ego doesn't want to be wounded. The ego wants to be right. The ego wants what it wants. And so sometimes it wants to be seen, it wants to be known, it wants to be valued, respected. And if it's not getting that, then sometimes it wants to fight for that. And so this is where that ego fight comes out. This is why when we're in our wound, sometimes what is needed to really heal that wound goes against that ego's fight for being right. It goes into this place of humility. It goes into a place of recognition that, ooh, I might not be doing this right. I might have been too aggressive, too assertive. I might have been being a bully in my relationships. I might have been, a certain way. And I'm needing to acknowledge that. And by acknowledging that, by acknowledging those dark, shadowy parts of ourselves that we don't want to look at, is where the healing begins. And so this is this beautiful time of the eclipse activating you, looking at what's not working for you right now, what's activating you energetically that says, oof, I don't like this. And so how can we shift and change with that? We're going to take another 2-minute break, come back, and we'll finish out the show. We'll see you then.
What if there were a super tiny device that could diagnose the brain and is smaller than a single human hair? What if you could see inside the brain to help an epilepsy patient during surgery or to help the fight against Parkinson's disease? Dr. Patricia Broderick is proud to announce the Broderick Probe, a biomedical and electronic breakthrough. Imagine a probe to help with the understanding and potential cure of brain-related diseases. To learn more, listen live to the Easy Sense radio show with host Dr. Broderick, Wednesdays 7 p.m. Eastern on the Bold Brave Media Network and TuneIn Radio. And to help support the Broderick Foundation, please go to EasySense.com and learn how, with your help, we can fight these horrific brain disorders. That's EasySense.com to learn more and help support the Broderick Foundation. Author, radio show host, and coach John M. Hawkins reveals strategies to help gain perspective, build confidence, find clarity, achieve goals. John M. Hawkins' new book, Coached to Greatness, Unlock Your Full Potential with Limitless Growth, published by iUniverse. Hawkins reveals strategies to help readers accomplish more. He believes the book can coach them to greatness. Hawkins says that the best athletes get to the top of their sport with the help of coaches, mentors, and others. He shares guidance that helps readers reflect on what motivates them. Rediscover and assess their core values, philosophies, and competencies. Find settings that allow them to be the most productive and track their progress towards accomplishing goals. Listen to John Hawkins' My Strategy, Saturdays, 1 p.m. Eastern on the BBM Global Network and TuneIn Radio.
Welcome back. So we're looking at how this eclipse energy can be activating us. Because it was aligning or conjoining, let's use the right term here, because it was conjoining with Chiron, it was an opportunity like we don't normally get often to look to see, where does this live within me? Because it was a powerful total solar eclipse throughout a big chunk, shining a totality zone across the United States. it means that the United States is deeply impacted by this. Of course, it went into Mexico and into other areas as well. But where that totality zone, where the actual moon covers the sun, and you can see that shift, where the stars actually come out for a very short amount of time, but everything shifts and changes in that moment, is very powerful for that area, for where that lands for many people geographically. And so this again is about looking at these imprints, that live in our energy field. And again, I'm going to explain it in a different way, and I'm going to explain it with a different tradition, because this is powerful information for us that we haven't received in the mainstream understanding of what life is and what it means to be human and all the different things. This is not taught in our Western culture. But it's very much a powerful way for us to look at how this lives within us, how this actually has a certain sense of truth. And when we can become aware of it, we can become empowered by it. We can really recognize that there's these things within us that we have the opportunity to overcome. And how are we going to do that, right? So I'm going to invite you, because this is our reflection time. This is the time for us to come in and get connected right here. To close your eyes and take those 2 nice deep breaths. Regulate your energy. And with each exhale, just let go of your day, wherever you are in your day. Releasing it. Taking that next big breath and releasing it. And just with your eyes closed, connect inside. Let's start with you in your heart. Bring your awareness into your heart space. I'm going to ask you to feel into your physical body. From your heart space, just become aware of your physical body. How is it feeling in this very moment? Are you comfortable? Uncomfortable? Do you have any pains? Are you quite content in your physical body? Also, bring your awareness to any physical traumas that you might have had over your life. Just witnessing, by all means, don't dive into them, but just recognize and honor your body for what it has done for you, your physical body, and how it has held you through your life, through hardship, through any kind of physical traumas, accidents, broken bones. And just thank your body, thank your vessel that holds these other energy bodies that create you. Now next, bring your awareness to the next energy body. This is your emotional, mental energy body. And just feel into it. Feel it. Feel it separate as its own energy body from the physical body. And feel into how you perceive the world. This is your mind body. Feel into how you feel about the world. Is the world beautiful? Is it scary? I'm sure it's a combination of all the things. I'm going to invite you to go in one further into the soul body. And this is that navigation device. This is your own personal GPS that takes you to where you go in the world, to the people, to your partners, to your adversaries even. It drives us to want to be great, to what we deeply desire in our heart space. And then one step further, connect into that spirit light that lives at the core of you. Feel that. Feel that energy. Know that these live and operate within you, and we're even going to expand them further. Because within this practice, this is the short version. Coming back out of your awareness, we are at the end of our time together. It has been an absolute pleasure, as always, to walk with you as we expand consciousness, as we connect deeper into all areas of life, and as we connect into the effects of this powerful event, this total solar eclipse moon on our imprints. And I invite you to work with that, sit with it, play with it this week. And if there's any questions, bring it to Andrea, www.andreadragonfly.com/connected. Bring it to the website. You can bring it to also the Facebook and Instagram post at Connected. And I look forward to seeing you there. Enjoy your week.
This has been Connected with your host, Andrea Dragonfly. Join Andrea each week on an extraordinary journey, exploring the consciousness of energy and how you are connected. Thursday, 9 p.m. Eastern on the Bold Brave TV network.